K. Dot, King Kendrick, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Now I know this is kind of a divisive album. You know, not a lot of people are kind of stuck in the middle. It almost reminds me of Yeezus a little bit, where like I remember when Yeezus first came out. Same thing with me. I was on the bus, I think going to the barbershop or something, and I was playing Yeezus, and I was like, what the fuck is this shit? What the fuck is this? And Yeezus is coming off what? My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. So it's like my ears were not ready for that shit. Like my ears were not ready for that shit. But after a few more listens, it started to grow on me, and I started opening up to something new. And now it's one of my favorite Kanye albums, and one of my favorite albums of all time, to be honest with you. Kendrick's album, I wouldn't say I didn't like it off the first listen, but it wasn't what I expected. It definitely wasn't what I expected coming off Damn. You know what I mean? That's the last album Kendrick put out. So it's like the energy that he had with the Baby Keem records on Baby Keem's album, I thought we were getting like a really energetic album. I'm coming to fuck shit up type of Kendrick. I'm in some interview I read, there was reports of it having like a rock and roll influence. You know, when we got the Heart Part 5 video, it was nothing like rock and roll influence. It was more soulful, and you know, that's my bag right there. So I was in, and that song is incredible on its own. That's a masterpiece of a song in itself. The Heart Part 5 is incredible. So then I'm like, okay, I feel like we might be getting like a To Pimp a Butterfly type of feel. That's where my mind went to. Or maybe even a Good Kid, Mad City type of feel, because it's talking about the streets and what culture is, and how it has this just about the duality of what culture and being street really means, as far as being a human being and being a part of this thing, and how much you really owe to it, and what is really culture at the end of the day. And then I think he had a picture of it, almost looked like it was like a play script for Mr. Morale. And so then I was like, okay, I honestly, I didn't know what to expect. I knew we were gonna get something theatrical though. It just had that feel from that video to seeing that script. It was like, okay, we're getting something theatrical, obviously. Listen to the album. I liked it on my first listen. I didn't necessarily, there were moments I truly loved, but it wasn't like a holy shit moment that I was expecting, where like Damn was a holy shit, he fucking snapped on this album. It was more like a holy shit, this is fucking, my first response was just like, holy shit, this is honest as fuck. Like this is really honest. Like you're learning about this man's life on this album. Like almost I'll kind of correlate it to like, this is like Kendrick's 444, talking about his infidelity, his problems with his marriage, being a father now. It's a brutally honest, reflective album. And it's funny because I am one of the people that loves the album, but it's at the same token, you know, it's probably my least favorite Kendrick project, or album I should say. But I also feel like it's his most important album. I think a lot of people just aren't ready for this, to receive this album right now. I think for the year that I had in 2022, I was in a state to receive this album the way that I think Kendrick intended it to be, where it was like self-reflection, therapy, and taking a deep dive into yourself and trying to work on your demons. I think that's kind of what this album was for him, like a personal insight, and you know, him coming to grips with the fact that, you know what, I don't have to be this savior entertainer that you guys want me to be. I gave you guys To Pimp a Butterfly. I gave you guys All Right. I need to do this project for me, the soul of Kendrick Lamar, the person. And you know, I'm always gonna appreciate that, someone who gives themselves to the art and puts themselves in the art. And Kendrick's always been one of the most honest artists, and that's why he's, you know, probably my favorite rapper of this generation. it's not a perfect album. You know, it's not like Damn. It's not complete. Everything is perfect at all. There's parts of it that I don't like. There's parts of it I skip. But as a whole, as a piece of art, it's amazing. It's incredible what he's conveying, the things he's talking about, you know. And I think that's another issue. I think a lot of people, they relate really to a lot of the shit he's talking about, and maybe they're not ready to face those things and face those realities. So maybe it can be like troublesome and it's hard to listen to. You know what I mean? It's like, it's hard to, it may trigger some things in your own mind, maybe in your past or whatever that you've been through, because he's touching on topics that not a lot of rappers ever do, not a lot of musicians do, period. You know, so it's definitely a tough listen at times. Like, it's not an album where it's like, I'm just gonna sit here, chill, play Call of Duty and bump it front to back or whatever. Like, it's not that type of album. Like, you know, it's experimental. It's he's pushing the envelope. You know what I mean? Musically, it doesn't, even like the song structures, it's not, you're not getting hook verse. You're not getting that. It's like broken up differently. These interludes, you got Kodak Black coming in on the interlude and Kendrick like, it's actually a beautiful piece of art. Once you get out of your own head of it and your own expectations of what you want from a Kendrick Lamar album, it's actually a beautiful piece of art. And I think it's the most important album. And I think one day we'll catch up to what it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to do. And I think for the people that it was supposed to help and it was supposed to touch, I think it did. And I'm one of them for sure. And I'm sure there's many others. It's not his most successful album. Not really hits on there, like, but I appreciate that. And I think that's kind of the opposite of Kendrick Lamar and Drake, where Drake is like, I'm giving you hits for days. I'm always coming with hits. But then the album may be kind of lacking a little bit in substance. Kendrick's kind of the opposite. You know, I proved to you guys I can do hits and I can do all that shit on Damn. Now I want to do something that's just straight substance, straight art. Kind of like what he did To Pimp a Butterfly coming off of Good Kid, Mad City. It's kind of the same effect. Huge commercial success, then experimental and deep and honest. Huge commercial success with Damn. Same thing now here with Mr. Morale. You know, you have to appreciate that, because after Damn going up the way he did, he could have just came right back and just tried to sell some more records and try to be the biggest artist and all that type of shit. But he didn't. He gave us a beautiful piece of art that, you know, is about his life. And I think it adds another piece to the puzzle of the Kendrick Lamar story, another chapter. And I think people need to let Kendrick grow. He's mid-30s now. He's not going to be rapping about the same shit he was rapping about in his 20s. Like, he's a grown man with a family. I think it's what an artist should do is try to grow with their audience rather than trying to stay appealing to the kids. He's not a kid anymore. Why is he trying to appeal to them? He can let Baby Keem do that. Another artist on his label, his cousin. He can let Baby Keem appeal to the kids, but he's a grown-ass man with a family. Appeal to the people his age group, kind of like what Jay-Z did. If Jay-Z was still rapping about selling rocks on the street, it'd be corny. You know what I mean? I think people gotta let artists age and age gracefully instead of trying to keep them back to what they were doing before. You know, it's corny when a guy's that age and he's still just a thought in the club and just loose with it. Like, bro, you're a grown-ass man. You're supposed to be about your business and you're supposed to be giving knowledge to the youngins out here. I will say, and also I want to say, I've been seeing this thing go around the reviews and everything about this album, because it's been getting a lot of hate, which is crazy for a Kendrick album. It's kind of like the critic darling. But I will say, I've been seeing a lot of people saying that this album doesn't have replay value and there's not good songs on this album. That's complete bullshit. I will give you that this album is not a replay in the sense of I'm playing it one to the end every single time. Like, it doesn't have that replay value because, again, it's a double disc. It's a long album. There's a lot of interludes and intros and skits and this and that. But if you just take away certain records from it, like Worldwide Steppers, Die Hard, Father Time, N95, Rich Spirit, Count Me Out, Silent Hill, like there's songs you could just play standalone on a playlist. It's not like they're all Like, I get like you're not gonna play We Cry Together in the club. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Nobody's playing Stan in the club or when you're out with your friends or whatever. But you know, it doesn't. What do you want, man? Like, and this is the thing that's so funny. I think everyone just wants to kind of group think these certain things. It's like, because it's not the album that you wanted it to be, and everybody on Twitter is saying that it's trash, like the kids who don't even listen to this kind of shit, or the people that don't even listen to this kind of shit, now you want to jump on the bandwagon and say the same shit. Get out of here, man. This is what you wanted from Kendrick. You wanted him to do shit differently than everybody else, and that's what he's doing. The one thing I will say makes it not perfect, because I did say it's not a perfect album. I think that there's too many songs on it. It's not about I would take songs away, but I would try to shorten it a little bit. I think my biggest issue with the album really though is the year prior, on the Baby Keem record, he was talking about smoking on top fives. When I drop, I'm killing everything that's outside. Like, so when I heard that shit, and you know that maybe this is what happened to all the critics too, is like they thought that we're getting like fucking Control verse Kendrick, like, and that's kind of what I thought was coming too. I thought it probably wouldn't have fit this project, but like, I guess like the selfish fan in me wanted him to like go in on the state of what rap is right now. You know what I mean? But again, I guess he's just not in that part of his life anymore. He's been there, done that. Now he's a family man, and he's being real with where he's at today, and that's what you should want from an artist. Album of the year for me, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers.